Now we will start how to develop, how to start a project, how to how to develop a Spring Boot application. Okay, so mindfully listen and also mindfully you see. So first, what we will do, file, new, Spring Stator project. Okay, if you are not remembering, then you can write in your note file arrow mark new arrow mark Spring Stator project. Also, I will give the note also. So, first of all, we will create a project. File, new, Spring Stator project. Click. Okay. So, you see an interface came. So many points that we have to fill. That means we have to give the information. So, first your project name. Let my project name is Spring Boot Demo or Spring Boot Demo 1. Let it. Okay. Let it support demo, Spring Boot demo. Whatever the project name, whatever you give, there is no problem. Then come to type. Here, Gradle, Groovy, Gradle, Kotlin, Maven. So, what is Maven and what is Gradle? So, Maven, you type in Google, Maven. So, Maven, you see, is a build automation tool used primarily for Java projects. So it is a tool, it is an automation tool. That means we are creating or we are going to create a Maven project. So it is just such automation tool specifically designed, specifically developed for Java projects. So whatever we will develop Java projects in this automation tool. Okay. So we are very familiar with Maven. So from Gradle and Maven, you choose Maven. Okay. Then packaging jar Java archive language, obviously Java programming language, version 17 minimum or 19 is very also compatible. 17. So automatically 17 it is displaying. Okay. Then group name and package name. So you can keep a same or you can keep different. Group, it is unique, this ID, through this ID, your project is uniquely recognizing. And package name, already we all have known what is a package in Java programming, means a container. So under this package, so many files, whatever we will develop, any class, any interface we will create, so we will keep under this package. Artifact project name and artifact same. Description, demo project for Spring Boot or first whatever you write, first Spring Boot project. Okay, first Spring Boot application. So that will depend upon you. This is completely user defined. Okay, so in this way I filled project name, I provided type is Maven, version 17, group name is com.example, package name is com.example.demo, whatever you can change, com.your name, there is no problem. So in this way, I gave the information, then click on next option. So this part is very, very important. This part. You see, new Spring Stator project dependencies. Some dependencies we will add. What is dependency? First of all, we will see, then I will explain. Some dependencies. We are developing a boot application, and for this, some dependencies we will add. So already some dependencies associated with Spring Boot. If I will write Spring Wave, you see automatically it is coming select. So this dependency I added. Since it is a web application, it is mandatory that we have to add this dependency. I will show you what is that dependency. In Maven, Maven having a repository, that is mvnrepository.com. You can go through that site. So huge dependencies are available. Dependency means small developed module, you can say. And basically working as helper components. They are helping to execute our boot application. But in J2E, every time lots of things we were configuring. MySQL connector, anytime Apache Tomcat, Log4j, whatever. Suppose application is not running, application is requiring particular one file you have to bring, you have to configure. But here in boot context, one file will develop. If we are creating a Maven project, one file will create a very key file, that is pom.xml, project object model. So that XML file I will show you and I will explain, that is very important. Pom.xml file, one file will create. So that file only contains dependencies. And that dependencies will configure automatically whatever the components we will develop in our boot application. We will discuss what are the components that we have to develop for any problem statement, for any project development, how it will configure automatically. So we will see. So first of all, Spring Web dependencies I will add. Then another dependencies, you remember DevTools, DevTools, Spring Boot DevTools. So very small interview question towards Professor. What is the purpose of DevTool? So one, suppose you developed a Spring Boot application, you executed. Suppose after execution, some points, suppose you changed, then again you have to run. But once DevTool dependency you have added, no need to run again and again. Once you have executed your application, after that any changes you did and DevTool dependency you have added, so automatically it will republish. No need to run again and again. This is the advantage of DevTool. So overall, you remember, any boot application you develop, this two is common: Spring Wave and Spring Boot DevTools. But slowly, we will discuss more and more dependencies. Okay, when we will go to JPA, because our topic is Spring Boot that JPA. Okay, so at that time again more and more dependency we will add in microservices. Again more and more dependency we will add. So we will discuss. But first application, you remember Spring Wave and Spring Boot DevTools. Okay, this is the what two common dependencies. It is mandatory that we have to add. Then click on next option, then click on finish option. Now you see a project structure created, Spring Boot demo, a project created. Okay, just I will open this project. You see there is a file, pom.xml file. There is a folder src main java. Just I will open, and you see .example.demo is your package. Basically, this package is called as base package. Your project name Spring Boot demo, then application have added. This is a one file. Automatically, this file it came to our picture. Okay. Then first of all, Slowly, we will acquaint with every folder, every terminologies. First of all, what I was telling, pom.xml file. You open pom.xml file. You see, this is the dependencies. Spring Boot Stator Wave, Spring Boot DevTool, and for test, this is one dependency. So this is mandatory. This dependency you have to add. You see group ID, artifact ID means this is a project name. Currently we show artifact ID means there's a project name. So it is a small project, small developed module. Okay. So they are working, they are helper component helping to execute a Spring Boot application. Okay, pom.xml file is very important file. Project object model. When we are creating a Maven project, a pom.xml file is creating, and it is a such XML file which is containing only dependencies. Whatever the dependencies we are requiring, so that dependency we will add. I will open this file. I will explain, but here one annotation I saw. This annotation is @rate Spring Boot application. Okay, so lots of annotation we will study, and each and every annotation you write in your notes. So all the annotations, it is a good interview question. So this annotation representing it is a Spring Boot application. But this annotation, no doubt, it is a very important annotation which is used to enable the configuration and setup of a Spring Boot application. So what the meaning? This annotation @rate Spring Boot application, this annotation @rate Spring Boot application. This annotation, you remember, combines three important Spring annotations. That means this annotation working three annotation functionalities. One is @rate configuration. I will send the notes, whatever I am explaining. One is @rate enable auto configuration. First new term you are acquainting. First is important, but always this term we will communicate. @rate component scan. This @rate Spring Boot application annotation representing three annotation functionalities. One is @rate configuration, one is @rate enable auto configuration, one is @rate component scan. @rate configuration, I will send the note. It representing, or it is indicating that the class is a source of bin definitions for the application context. Class is a source of bin definition. Bin. What is a bin? We will develop bin. Simple. It is a lightweight component. It is nothing but a class containing getter and setter method. We will develop. We will see. What is the meaning of @rate enable auto configuration? It tells Spring Boot to automatically configure your application based on the dependencies present on the class path. Again, I am repeating. So from the term you explain, @rate enable auto configuration. That means automatically configure your application based on the dependencies present on the class paths. For example, if you have one dependency Spring Boot starter wave, Spring Boot will configure a web server. Okay, so already the server is embedded. So automatically configuration is enabling. At the rate component scan enables component scanning so that Spring can discover and register bins within the package where the application class is located and its subpackages. Again, I am saying so component scanning each components, enabling component scanning. Meaning is what Spring can discover and register bins. So that meaning is component. In later on we will cover controller is a component, entity is a component, repository is a component, service is a component. So very what we will make it is in a what very easy. Any project, any problem statement. So some for that some component we will develop. First entity, then repository, then service, then controller. But how to develop that component very easy, and which component we will develop first, after that which component we will develop. So the entire flow control, okay, the entire roadmap we will see. Okay, so coming to the point, at the rate Spring Boot application, this is a such annotation which is representing what three annotation functionalities. Clear? I hope everybody is understanding. Give a response. So it is representing the entire application is a boot application. Now, suppose let it I have no problem statement. Simply one message I want to see. Hello world. Hello world. Suppose application I will develop. So minimum one component we have to develop. If we have no problem statement, that is controller component. You remember. Slowly we will acquaint. So what is controller component? It is nothing but a class. Simple, it is a class. You see, this is my base package. Right click on my base package, new class. Okay. Let it, I will create a sub package dot controller. In which way that I am developing, you have to follow. In that way, you will develop. Okay. Suppose let it my class name is test controller. Class name is test controller. Click on finish button. Now, one class I am developing, this class name is test controller. It means test controller.java. And you see the project structure. This is my base package. So if suppose somebody will see com.example.demo.controller. Okay, so this package is containing controller component. Good programming. So this is nothing but a class. This controller component will contain business logic. But how this class I will represent as controller component, you remember. So for this one annotation, I will use controller. Control S for saving. Okay. So it is a built-in annotation. A red color mark is coming. You just bring your mouse cursor. You see automatically that package is coming. So you click. Okay. So you have to import any built-in things you are using. So that built-in things coming from which package you have to import. Okay. So automatically it will come, because practically it is not possible that we can remember all what package, all libraries. So red color mark, once it is coming, you just take your mouse cursor, automatically it will display, click, then it imported. Okay, so now at the rate controller component representing the class test controller is a controller component. There is another annotation we will use also, that is at the rate rest controller. I will explain, but in first place, so just for remembering, for basic understanding, I am explaining, but slowly we will cover everything. There is also another annotation at the rate rest controller. At the rate controller and at the rate rest controller, what the difference? So everything we will discuss. Now, one method I will define, because we know that in Java programming, a method definition representing a task. My task is through a web browser. That's it. Simply, I will what display a message. One URL I have to create. Okay, so let it one message. Suppose I will, sorry, one method I will define. Let return type is string. So method let it. Suppose I will write a return, because string is my return type. Suppose I will write Java means Silan Software. So what I did, one method I defined. One method I defined. That method name is so method. So method. One method I defined. So that method is so method. Then this method basically it is called as a handler method. Basically this is called as a handler method. So here this method definition will execute how. So here one mapping concept we will represent. One mapping which map HTTP request to this method. So to represent a mapping, so one annotation we will use at the rate request mapping, one annotation, and one endpoint I will create slash whatever Ramadama whatever you can write. Let test suppose. So now I will bring my cursor. You see automatically this package is displaying. You click, so it package imported. So what is the purpose of request mapping? It map HTTP request. So when I will run this application, a URL created, server is embedded. I will show you. So 8080 is port number, server name is localhost. Okay, Tomcat server is already embedded. I will show you one URL created. Suppose localhost colon 8080 slash test. This is my endpoint. So localhost colon 8080 slash test. When I will enter, then I will get Java means Silan Software. So at the rate request mapping meaning is it map HTTP request to handle to with or to handler method. So this is the body actually. So explicitly you have to specify another annotation. Java means Ceylon software. This message I want to see as a response for this. So there is an annotation response body. Okay, control S. So what is the purpose of or meaning of response body? Are you imagining how many annotations we are communicating? At the rate controller, at the rate request mapping, at the rate response body, at the rate Spring Boot application, again Spring Boot application representing three annotations. So whatever I am saying, you write in your note. First time, new term you are acquainting, but every time this term always we will acquaint. So what is the meaning of at the rate response body? It is an annotation in Spring Boot used to indicate that the return value of a method should be written directly to the HTTP response body. That means this is my response. So explicitly to represent a response, we have to specify an annotation that is at the rate response body. I will import this. But if I will write at the rate rest controller, So there is no need to write at the rate response body. At the rate controller plus at the rate response body, that is at the rate rest controller, but I will explain in detail. Okay, let at that point you let it. So this is my application. So what I did, simply I developed a controller components. Again, I am repeating. Controller component is nothing but a simply it is a class. Class name is test controller. Whatever the class name you can take. One method I defined, so method I defined. This is basically called as a handler method. And I presented a map. So for this, one annotation I have used, that is at the rate request mapping within a bracket slash test, whatever you can write. This is my endpoint. Slash ramo, whatever. Okay. So an endpoint I created. And to see the message as response for this, an annotation I have used, that is at the rate response body. Okay, so this is my boot application. Simple boot application. Now you see I will run. Right click on the project, run as Spring Boot app. You see now I executed. You see Tomcat started on port 8080. That means Tomcat is embedded. Tomcat is a web server. Port number 8080. Port number also we can change. Later on we will discuss how if I want change the port number, but default port number is 8080. So definitely I will open a browser and I will write localhost colon 8080 slash this controller endpoint slash test. You see, I got message Java means Silan Software. So this is URL. This URL when I'm entering, so handler method, so method definition executed. So definitely, so it is a mapping. HTTP request with this endpoint, it is a mapping. So HTTP request slash test. Then so method definition is executing. Very interesting.